Welcome to day 4 of vibe coding for product managers, where I'm vibe coding a ukulele app. In the last 3 days of vibe coding, I've been using Replit, and let me show you what we've got. Our app, I'll open it in a new window. It has a bunch of dashboarding type pieces. I don't think they're connected to be real yet. It's got the homepage has this metronome. We fixed up the chord design to actually look like a nice chord chart. It's got some chord detection. Let me show that off. E major. And this was the main screen that we've really been working on, where we can have a metronome and it will try to get us to switch between these. We've gone through a few different varieties of this, and we've had a lot of trouble with this page. Sometimes we had problems where it wasn't trying to detect the beat at the right time. Sometimes it's not correctly matching the beat that we have. And this UI isn't quite as easy to read as we want. So I've talked from the beginning about how I really like to do 2 passes at my vibe coding. The first is going to be exploratory, where I'm just seeing what is there. I'm not thinking too much up front. Now that we've run into a lot of things, we've seen what we like, what we don't like. Now I'm going to switch over to my second pass, where I'm going to make a brand new app based on what we've learned. For this, I'm going to start by just going into a new doc. All right. So the first thing I want to do is just get out of my head the different things that I've been thinking about that I've been learning. So first, on the home page, I didn't like that dashboard. I wanted to really be an app focused on getting you right into that chord practice. The chord chart design, we learned that we should use SVG to get the finger positions to show up correctly on the right lines. And we've learned that the chord detection on the beat is really tricky. We've actually had a session here where we talked last time with ChatGPT to really understand what the right approach here should be. And then we'll also want to be really precise about how the chord detection works, about how the chord practicing works, and when it gets faster and when it gets slower. All right, let's then go from the top to the bottom and start filling this out. When I'm writing up a spec or a PRD for an AI agent, I've got to be mindful of the context window, which means that there's only so many words that the AI can read. And so I don't want to give it too much information that's not going to help it. But at the same time, I feel like there's some understanding of what the overall goals of our app are that I want to tell it. All right, we've got a quick overview. Let's go into the design. For the design for the homepage, I'm going to try actually going into one of these design apps and get some design there. All right, this is reasonable enough homepage. Then we need our practice page. This is what our practice page currently looks like. I'm going to go back to Replit and have Replit try a few different designs for this practice page. I might also open up Musician and show that as a inspiration. I've written up really short spec for this. We've got an overview of what our app is, homepage design, gone into the practice page with some of the details, and a little bit of the technical details. And now I'm going to give this over to ChatGPT to make sure we get the technical bits, especially for this chord detection and the timing pieces correct. All right, now that I've learned a little bit about SVG, just enough to be dangerous, I'm going to ask if it should be using SVG or other details of what they should use for rendering the front end. All right, we've written up our spec. We've added in some engineering details on the parts that we know we had difficulty with before. Now I'm going to start a brand new Replit app. Paste it in the spec. I'm going to come over here and grab this picture. Those other tabs. Okay, so we've got our spec, we've got our screenshot, we've used what we have learned to try to make this better than last time, and let's go ahead and start a brand new app. All right, let's see. This time I'm going to look a little more carefully at what the plan is. So it says it's going to do it with a mock chord detection system. I'm expecting this to take about 10 minutes. Not a bad time to practice ukulele. Let's see how long that took. 6 minutes. All right, let's try again. Okay, let me watch that one more time. All right, so I've written up what is wrong or what might be wrong. Now, what I really wanted to do is not just like start doing Band-Aid fixes all over the place, but I really wanted to think through it and maybe not change any code, but just like look through it carefully and let me know what's wrong without changing the code. All right, let's see what it found. So it's getting a hard-coded fake timing instead of the real timing engine. All right, nice. We can see that it didn't actually make any other changes other than taking a screenshot. All right, let's give it a try. So it's not scrolling correctly. It seems to be like restarting itself. So I don't want to spend too long trying to fix it with the mock data, since we know we want to get to the real data. I'm going to have it go ahead and do the real chord detection, and then I'm going to have it go through and see if there's any other place that we're using mock data or any other places where we haven't correctly connected things to the real code. There's a new feature called Add to Queue, so I'm going to try that out. So what's really nice here with Add to Queue is it's not going to interrupt it from what it's in the middle of doing, but it's going to put it next, and that lets us do nice sort of shorter messages to the agent. It's actually really nice here is that if I'm going to go away for a little while, I can give it a few things to do. So it can actually make it a lot cheaper for me to come in and ask it to fix the homepage. And it looks like it finished that first request. So we'll see if we can have it go. So it has found some places where the code's not hooked up correctly. One of the things that is really different about vibe coding than the kind of coding I'm used to on a product team is on a product team, we usually start with nothing. And then we add features one at a time and get each of them working. On vibe coding, it tends to start with a UI prototype, a UI mockup, where nothing is really connected. And then little by little, you connect them, which is really nice because you can get a feel for what the app's going to really be like. But on the other hand, if you're writing an app, you might be surprised to find out that some of the buttons that look real don't do anything or don't do the right thing yet. So you need to kind of go through and test each part of the UI and make sure that they're all working, because the vibe coding apps like Replit are going to give you a mock-up, a prototype of what it should be before it actually goes through and makes all of those pieces real. Great. See how that's gone. I'm just going to hit C here and see if it can detect any of them. One of the things I've noticed is that Replit has this dynamic intelligence. I want to try using it to have it think through and try to figure out exactly how this timeline and chord detection should go. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these on, see how they do. I'll do it so you don't have to do it. All right, let's see if it can go off for a while and do a good solution here. Okay, let's see. Only 2 minutes of work. Did end up charging a lot more. See? I'm going to try keeping it on this higher model, but keep it here for just a little bit longer. Kind of fun here. See the designs where you can see now where it's thinking. It's still not detecting. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the higher power model since it doesn't seem to be helping, but I'll keep extended thinking on to see what that does. I'm going to open up my other version of the app since we did have the chord detection working there, so we can maybe compare and see what might be different. You see the problem, it is listening false. Let me hand that over. It's hearing music, it is not detecting the correct chord. Noticing this timing is way too fast. Since we have this cue now, I'm going to actually add some of the other things that I've noticed. What's going on with these? Changing. Let's try it out. So this whole thing was not working, and it was kind of frustrating me how hard it was to get it right. I'm going to give it one more try, but then I might just have it try to replace with this current chords, which seems like it's got much better logic. Just try once more so I can have a good description of what's going wrong. So it starts off by showing all of these, and then they disappear. 2 of them disappeared. Give the code a try. Let's try C for F, see if it gets it wrong. Okay, so it's detecting chords even when I'm not playing. I'm also going to go ahead and ask it to fix this homepage problem that I've been bothered by. I'd also like to have it switch to green as soon as it detects a correct. Let's see if it speeds up. It's not. See if I just play totally the wrong chords. Skipping is working, I think. It only seems to be detecting C's and F's, so I think that that's probably where part of the problem is. We're very close now. Also let it know. So we're going to ask it to make sure it detects the correct chord, not the closest chord. Now it's gone up. Great. Now let's say I play the wrong chord. Seems to be working. Let's see if once I miss 3 of them, slow down. And it's not slowing down, so we need to fix that. I think we have a somewhat functional ukulele practice app now. So just to recap everything that we have, got a ukulele practice app. We can choose our chords on the first page. Just to make things a little bit more interesting, let's try with C and G. We've got the finger positions for C and G. And let's give it a try. I think I can maybe try 80 beats per minute. Let's see how we do. And it's sped up. All right. This is not at all perfect, but it's actually at a decent enough spot now that I am ready to share this. So I'm going to now show you how do we deploy? How do we get this out into the world? So to deploy, there's a big button here that says deploy. Deploy basically means take this app that right now is just running on these dev servers, these temporary sites, right? So if you look at the URL up here, it's a mess. And if I'm not actively using Replit, they'll take this down and this URL won't work anymore. I'm going to make it live, hit deploy. Got some options here. In the past, when I've done this, I've basically moved everything down to the minimum because I don't expect that many people to be using my things. For now, I'm going to leave this by default. See if people end up using it. I'll take a look later back at how much it's costing. I can give it a name. Let's call it. Right now, I'm not doing anything with a database or security. It's not really saving anything from session to session, so I don't need any of that. Can hit deploy. So what it's going is it's actually taking everything that we built and sticking it on its own website. So its own URL that'll actually stay up that you can actually go to now or go to as soon as it has finished deploying and try it out for yourself. So once that happens, there's going to be sort of two versions of my code. There's going to be the deployed, the pushed, the production version of it. That's going to be the part that's on that public URL. And I'll still have my private dev server for making future updates. So once this is all pushed, if I start asking for a change here, it will be on my dev servers. I can preview it. I can try it out. But I'll have to hit deploy again to get that to go to everybody else. So that means that I can still make changes and break everything and not be worried about testing out different things while I have a deployed version. And it won't push my changes to the production server until I tell it to. So here is the domain. Let's go to ukulele-chord-practice-jackiebo.replit.app. We'll start our practice. It'll need to allow the microphone. There you go. Enjoy.